What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Andy Ruiz finally makes his return to the ring on April 24th. He takes on rugged veteran Chris Arreola in an all-Mexican heavyweight battle, which will make history. First time two Mexican heavyweights fight in a very intriguing an important matchup, particularly for Andy Ruiz. Last seen in the ring against Anthony Joshua when he came in that fight, grossly out of shape. I know a lot of people saying, wait a minute, JB Sports, he always comes in his fights out of shape. Even in the first Joshua fight, when everybody was saying he was in so-called great condition, yeah, compared to his other fights when he's grossly out of shape, he was in good condition, but he was basically out of shape in that first fight. But he was in decent enough shape to beat a guy in Anthony Joshua who came into that fight looking to prove a point and outdo Deontay Wilder. Put a lot of undue pressure on himself and came into that fight fighting in New York, the Big Apple. I think the pressure and the Wilder saga got to Anthony Joshua, and he came in there and he laid an egg. Andy Ruiz fought a beautiful fight. If Andy Ruiz would have showed up in the second fight, it would have been a real interesting fight between him and Anthony Joshua, the rematch. But he came into that fight grossly out of shape, couldn't catch AJ as AJ was on his bicycle the whole time. Did the old Klitschko jab and grab technique where he jabbed him and grabbed him. Didn't want to take any kind of punishment. Wanted to, land punches and take very few punches and get out that ring with his titles back and get back to the AJ gravy train that Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn know and love. And he was able to get the victory. Now Andy Ruiz has switched trainers. Left his trainers, his old trainer, separated from his old trainer in Nobles, and teamed up with Eddie Reynoso, the world-renowned trainer, known for the great work that he's done with Canelo Alvarez. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit later in this video about why his trainer, who trains both Canelo Alvarez and Andy Ruiz, is going to play a huge part and the reason why Al Heyman is taking this fight to pay-per-view. And yes, I said this fight is going to be on pay-per-view, Fox pay-per-view. A lot of people saying, what? Two guys that don't have any kind of belts? Andy Ruiz, who put on a shameful performance against Anthony Joshua. Chris Arreola, who's been a guy that was been chasing that dream of becoming the first Mexican heavyweight in boxing. Fell short of Vitaly Klitschko. And then he cried after that fight. Very upset that he wasn't able to get the job done. He came to that fight out of shape. So you got two guys that are known to come into fights out of shape. But Chris Arreola's last performance was a good performance against Adam Kanaki. He came in there in decent shape, held a great count of himself in that fight. Put on a good performance. Came up short as Andy Kanaki was able to outpunch and outland him in a very competitive and very entertaining fight that took place in the Barclays Center in New York. But that took place nearly 2 years ago. So the inactivity is going to be something to look to when he steps in the ring against Andy Ruiz, who has been quite inactive himself, as he was last seen in the ring December of 2019. Chris Arreola was seen in the ring August of 2019. If I'm not mistaken, sometime in August, I believe, was his last performance. Against Adam Kanaki. I might have been mistaken. It might have been a little about that time. But it's been over a year and a half since Chris Arreola last fought, and it's been over a year and a half since Andy Ruiz last fought. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys start the fight out. Will he take them a couple rounds to warm up? I know their sparring and their training is going to be real important for their team to get those guys sharp as they can be doing training and have a lot of physical sparring to get used and get acclimated to taking punches and dishing out punching and fighting at a high level and a high pitch that it's going to take to put on their best performance come April 24th on Fox pay-per-view. Now, in my opinion, this shouldn't be a pay-per-view fight, a headline pay-per-view fight. I could see it being a co-main event pay-per-view fight. If I'm Al Heyman, just my 2 cents of the matter. If I'm Al Heyman, I would put this fight as a co-main event for Deontay Wilder's first fight back after the devastating loss to Tyson Fury. Put Wilder in there with Charles Martin. Let that be the headline. Put Chris Arreola versus Andy Ruiz as a co-main event. Bring Luis Ortiz back. Put him on the card versus Carlos Takam. That could be the second to the opener. And he opened up with Cuban heavyweight Frankie Sanchez, who had numerous fights on Fox. He fought on the undercard of Adam Kanaki versus Robert Helenius. He defeated on that card Joey DeWaco. Joey DeWaco was a guy that people know on the East Coast, especially up there in New York. And he was able to dominate Joey DeWaco and win a unanimous decision. And I think 2 of his last 3 fights, if not all of his last 3 fights, have been on Fox. So you have him open that card up, and you have an all heavyweight pay-per-view boxing card. Put that on Fox pay-per-view. That's just my 2 cents in it, but I don't think they're going to go that way. I think they're going to have Andy Ruiz headline his own pay-per-view card on Fox. And I think the reason Al Haymon is doing that is he's going to throw Andy Ruiz a bone. Andy Ruiz is a stablemate to Canelo Alvarez. And they both share the same trainer in Eddie Reynoso. Eddie Reynoso is also Canelo Alvarez's manager. And he has a lot of say in who Canelo Alvarez fights. And I think during fight week, Al Haymon and the PBC will roll out the red carpet. Canelo Alvarez will be coming down for that fight. And they're going to roll out the red carpet for Canelo Alvarez and Eddie Reynoso. And the movie is a master plan move by Al Haymon. So he's playing checkers while everybody else is... No, he's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. He's looking at a master plan move here. He wants to not only... everybody's heard about Canelo Alvarez fighting Caleb Plant in September. But I think what Al Haymon and PBC want to do is they want to lock up Canelo Alvarez with a 2-fight deal. Similar to the deal that Eddie Hearn has with Canelo Alvarez when he fought last Saturday against Abner Yildirim. And then he's got another fight with Billy Joe Saunders. And that 2-fight deal will be up after that. I think Al Haymon and the PBC will be looking to lock in Canelo Alvarez on a 2-fight deal with the PBC. Fight Caleb Plant in September. And then in December, fight Jamal Charlo. That's the master plan that Al Haymon and the PBC are doing. That's why they're throwing a bone and putting a fight on that people don't believe it should be headlining a pay-per-view boxing card. But they're going to be willing to do that, to show love to Canelo Alvarez's stablemate and Andy Ruiz. Put that fight on April 24th. Put it on Fox. I think they'll probably put that fight on the West Coast if they allow fans during that time. If not, then you're probably looking at Florida or Texas for this particular card. Now that you look at the date of springtime 2021, April 24th, I don't think they'll be having crowds on the West Coast that soon. So I will assume that this fight will either be in maybe San Antonio, Texas, the Alamo Dome, where they have a huge Latino population there. They could put it there, or put it in Miami, Florida, where they have a huge Latino population there. In Miami, Florida, they can try to maybe put it in the same football stadium that Canelo Alvarez fought Abner Yildirim in. Put it over there in Hard Rock Stadium, Miami, Florida. Or maybe you put it in a little smaller venue where maybe the Miami Heat play. They call it American Airlines Arena. The one in Miami, Florida, you can put it there. Or maybe you can put it in the Miami Marlins' new baseball park. You can put the fight there. So those are 2... that's some of the several destinations that that fight could take place in. But that's the main master plan move by Al Haymon. He's looking to take care of Andy Ruiz, and in the process, wine and dine Eddie Reynoso and Canelo Alvarez fight week leading up to Ruiz Arreola, and convince them to sign a 2-fight deal with 2 of Al Haymon's PBC fighters. September, Caleb Plant. If he gets by Caleb Plant, he fights Jamal Charlo in December. Maybe they push that back to Cinco de Mayo in May. Maybe he takes a tune-up in December against maybe Anthony Durrell or somebody like that, take care of the business with him, and then maybe fights Jamal Charlo in Cinco de Mayo 2022. And that would then be a 3-fight deal instead of a 2-fight deal. But that's basically the master plan move that Al Haymon is doing. And that's the reason why, that's partly the reason why he's putting Canelo Alvarez's stablemate, Andy Ruiz, on Fox pay-per-view against Chris Arreola. Now, as far as this fight goes, the hand speed difference is like night and day. I think Andy Ruiz will be able to, if he comes in good shape, which everything I've seen in his training and the videos that he's been posting, like he done lost around 20 pounds, so he likes to be in good shape. Chris Arreola in his last fight against Adam Kanaki came in great shape, best shape of his career, but that was 2 years ago. But if he can come in that type of shape against Adam Kanaki, he definitely let his hands go in that fight. But I just think the hand speed of Chris Arreola, who maybe the hand speed of Andy Ruiz will be the difference. You know, Andy Ruiz has a great hand speed. He's got speed of a middleweight fighting at heavyweight, and he was able to overwhelm Anthony Joshua in that first fight with his hand speed, his combination and stuff. He's able to get inside the taller fighters and get his combinations off, and he does a good job of landing two and three punch combinations once he does get inside. So he's a very sharp puncher, a very accurate puncher, a guy that has deceptive power, and I think he'll be able to beat Chris Arreola to the punch for the majority, you know, for the length of the fight, however long the fight goes. Now, Chris Arreola has a real good chin. He has never been just knocked out. Now, Deontay Wilder stopped him, but that was because the fight was so non-competitive and he was taking a lot of punishment, and they decided to stop that fight. But he wasn't even knocked out by the Bronze Bomber, who's known to knock out 99% of his fighters that he fought, you know, in his boxing career. So he has a real good chin, but the punch that hurts you or the punch that you don't see. And if Andy Ruiz with his hand speed can catch Chris Arreola with something he can't see, he can definitely drop and hurt Chris Arreola. So it should be an interesting matchup, man. If I just think that Andy Ruiz should win a unanimous decision or maybe a late stoppage is the way I would see that fight going. But as we get closer to the fight, I give a more in-depth analysis. Just here on this video, just let you know that the fight is set to go on April 24th on Fox pay-per-view. A lot of people wondering why it's not on regular Fox. Fox don't have the budget to put on that type of fight. Andy Ruiz made around what? Didn't he make like $7 to $9 million in the AJ rematch? He made a lot of money. So if you're gonna fight on Fox with their budget, you talking about making maybe what, $1 million, 1.5, 1.3, and he's not gonna go from making $7 million fighting AJ. They're fighting on free Fox for 1.5 max. He's not going to do that. So for him to get a chance to make $7 million, you got to put him on pay-per-view, give him somewhere around $2-3 million minimum, and then he can make his money on the back end off pay-per-view revenue. And that's how he can get closer to the number that he got when he fought AJ in the rematch. And then even in the first fight, he made good money. What did he make, around $5 million, $6 million? He made good money in the first fight. So he's not going to go from two fights with AJ making anywhere from 12 to 15 million in those two fights to coming down and fighting on free Fox for $1.5 million. That's not going to happen. That's why they're going to have to put this fight on Fox pay-per-view. And that, and partly because, again, Al Heyman is looking to, use this Andy Ruiz fight to catapult him into getting a deal with Canelo Alvarez, at least a 2-fight deal, the fight planned in September, and Jamal Charlo in December, like you say, maybe have a mandatory, and not even mandatory, but a voluntary in December, maybe Anthony Darrell in December, and then you fight Jamal Charlo in Cinco de Mayo, May of 2022. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires. Hit the like button if you like the content of this video, and leave your comments in the comment section about this matchup. Do you like this fight? And who you like to win this fight? If you think it's going to go to decision, let me know. If you think it's going to be a knockout, pick the round you think the fight's going to end in. Let me know your thoughts. And subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I'll holla.